How to sell anything on social media. I'm making a video to answer some of the questions that I get every single day when I speak to different brands about how to sell their particular product on social media. There is a common misconception, which is social media has to be this place where we sell the most exciting products, and that's not true. In fact, a lot of the brands that we work with, it's taking unsexy products and it's finding a way to sell that to a very specific and passionate audience and really understand customer psychology. Once you understand customer psychology, it becomes easy to sell your products, and social media is just a more direct vehicle to get there. So, going through this then. So marketing is sales. It's persuasive messaging, which essentially is what sales is. But instead of one-to-one, which a salesperson usually will have one-to-one conversations to sell their product, instead it's one-to-many. And so we put out this ad and a lot of different people see the ad, and that becomes marketing instead of sales, in my opinion at least. Now, social media is powerful because we can target specific people based on their interests, their demographics, their psychographics, and their behavior patterns. So the best way to describe this visually is, let's just say we've got a billboard. With a billboard, we take a bit of a risk because yes, we can decide where we want to put it, but we can't decide who goes past the billboard and what they're going to be interested in. Is the ad going to be relevant for them? I mean, yes, you might have a product that's quite broad and appeal to everybody, and typically those are the type of brands that will go for a billboard as their medium for advertising. But for most brands, you're not selling something that applies to absolutely anybody and everybody. So to put on a billboard and spend the money to make sure that you've got an ad that other people can see when they go past is a bit of a waste of money, because there's only a handful of those people, percentage wise, that are going to have the money, be a good fit, and want what it is that you're selling. Whereas with social media, we can decide exactly who sees that billboard, and that is the only difference. And all of this really is to say TikTok isn't for young people, Facebook isn't for old people, which is probably the most common one that I get, and Instagram isn't just for Gen Z. Yes, we have a large number of people of these different audience groups that are on these platforms, but it's not restricted to that. And because we can choose who to put the ad in front of, it doesn't matter whether there's 1 million, 10 million, 100 million of these people. We can find them and put ads in front of them specifically. It's all about how you actually use the platform. Now, we had a company that we scaled, and they were selling bed sheets for people with Parkinson's disease. That is very, very niche. You wouldn't think, okay, who's on Facebook and Instagram? People with Parkinson's disease, right, we're going to target those people. It is a small audience, but we still manage to scale. And that's because of those people that are on the platform, we can choose through our campaign structure and through the messaging of the ads to put that ad in front of that very specific person. So please don't think small when it comes to social media advertising. Don't think of ways or reasons this isn't going to work for your business, because the reality is you're just not thinking creatively enough. Now, why is this important? Because running social media ads, it's not just about having a rainbow shower head, right? This was a product that went viral on TikTok. It's very visual. When you think of social media, you do think visual, you think attention grabbing. But the reality is you don't have to have a product like this in order to sell and be successful when running social media ads. We've done it with much more boring, less visual products. And I'll even use a very basic example in a moment. Okay, so we've done this time and time again. We've taken boring, unsexy products and we scaled them to multiple 7 figures by finding a way to make a boring, unsexy product, in fact, sexy to a specific, passionate group of people, which is very important. Specific, passionate group of people. If you're trying to sell to anybody and everybody, I recommend you don't. And if you're adamant that you should, this probably isn't going to work for you as a strategy. But let's take a very broad example of a product that could be sold to anybody and everybody, but actually just by narrowing it down, we're able to sell it much more successfully. So we've got water, right? We've got a picture here. And it's a bottle of water. It's H2O. There's no other explanation to what the product actually is. And here's where a lot of people, and probably you if you're watching this video, are going wrong, is that you will fall into one of two buckets of people. Either you will describe the product or you will try and persuade people to buy the product. And both of them are not effective. And so if we're describing the product, that is basically, essentially, it's 2 hydrogen molecules bonded with an oxygen molecule. Great. Who's gonna buy the product based off that description? Nobody. And yet you might have a supplement brand and you start listing off, lion's mane, ashwagandha, all of these things that don't mean much to most people. Maybe there's a small 1% of biohackers that really know the ingredients, but really you're not differentiating yourself from other people that have these ingredients. And so it's still not an effective way to sell. So don't just describe what the product is. It is the least persuasive way to run advertising. Now, the other thing people are doing right now is they are trying to persuade people. So they'll look at this and they'll say, we have the most hydrating product in the world. Ours is the best. Ours is the cheapest. And they start slashing prices and going in for the convenience angle. Or they might say, it's made from this very specific type of plastic. It's sustainable. We support local charities. The list goes on, and I'm yet to meet a brand that successfully scaled their business, getting new customers by telling people that they locally source ingredients, they're sustainable, or they help local charities. Yes, that's great. Yes, that's what we care about, either as marketers or the brand owner. You know, we're invested into the brand itself, but the customer cares about what it can do for them specifically. And these little things, yes, they're nice to have, and it makes the customer feel good, but I guarantee it's not going to be the way that you get new customers profitably enough for you to scale your business. So, off the back of that, what is it that we should actually do? So first of all, don't convince. You need to attract people. It needs to be their decision, and they have to feel like they are making the right decision for them. If I try and convince you to work with me, for example, you're going to have friction. There's going to be a wall up. You don't want to be persuaded. You don't want to be quote unquote manipulated, right? But buying actually is an emotional decision, and that's something that we have to be conscious of. So stop copying from other people, because that is like watching the blind lead the blind. Most people that are running ads right now, they will go onto their competitors' ad library. They'll see what ads their competitors are running. They'll filter from oldest to newest to see what ads have been going the longest. And they'll take that, and because that ad's been running for over 6 months, it must be successful. Great, we're going to replicate it. But we don't know if it's working for them. And most importantly, just because it's working to an extent for them doesn't mean that we can't get better just by really understanding the fundamentals. We want to be innovators and not just copy people. And so with this in mind, that buying is an emotional decision, how do we tap into this emotion to get somebody to want to buy from us? There's a few ways. Now, first of all, you can't build a business trying to change somebody's beliefs. If somebody doesn't think water is good for them and think it's the devil and it's whatever, I mean, you die without water. But anyway, let's argument's sake, the people out there that don't like water, don't care, I'm having Diet Coke, get my water from vegetables and fruits, whatever. They're not our customer. You know, we could spend all day trying to get that one person to buy from us, but it's not really a good use of our advertising dollars, right? So instead of convincing people that you're the best, instead of slashing prices and making yourself the cheapest and almost begging people to try out your products, look, come and try us. We've got a 30-day back guarantee. We've got the lowest price. Just pay for shipping. Like, this is all desperate, right? It's not really how you grow a sustainable and profitable business. It's not scalable, like I said, for the most part anyway. You know, the best way to sell on social media is to understand who you're actually selling to. It's the most important thing. Everything else layers on top of that. But if you don't know who you're selling to, your marketing message is going to be broad. It's going to say, buy this water because it's great. And who is going to buy off the back of that? Nobody, right? Whereas if we start to know who we're selling to, we can start to go into researching their exact customer psychology, behavior patterns, what they're interested in, and all of that kind of stuff. Now, one place I always recommend people go to for research is Reddit. So if you don't know who your customer is, you can go onto Reddit and you can look at subreddits and whatever, and you can see what people are talking about. This is good because we're not guessing, right? And you can actually go into here and see different patterns of behavior. You know, I'm not going to spend too much time in here, but I'm sure if I'm here for the next 30 seconds, I'll probably find something. Here's one, right? I work in ER. Within 30 minutes of you being there, we want a urine sample to check for dehydration. Dehydration is statistically the #1 cause of headaches. Maybe we go after people that have headaches. Maybe we start to reverse engineer that and we think about who is the type of person that gets headaches a lot, or who is a person where having a headache is going to severely impact their day. Maybe somebody like me, maybe entrepreneurs, maybe I'm on sales calls a lot, I'm speaking to team, I'm coming up with different ideas, I'm strategizing. Doing all that with a headache is very difficult, right? So use research, don't just guess, but actually look into this and make sure that you've got accurate ads and not just wishy-washy hypothesis type style marketing, right? So know your audience. So let's just say we've got two very basic audiences here just to build out this example with literally the most ridiculous example on this planet, selling water on social media. Right, we've got two different audiences here. We've got bodybuilders and we've got entrepreneurs. They're two completely different people. Yes, there are going to be people in the middle. Don't try and make your ads just work for anybody and everybody, or it has to be for this person that is interested in this, and this. Don't start stacking them, but really think about one particular audience or a couple of audiences and test those. So in this case, we've got bodybuilders and we've got entrepreneurs. What do bodybuilders care about? Mostly, okay, there's going to be all things that are like 8, 9, 10 on the list. We don't care about those. We're literally going after the top 1, 2 needle moving levers that we can pull to really get, a good return on our ads. They care about building muscle and they care about burning fat. So now what are we going to do? We're going to make sure that we go to the nth degree to understand their exact situation and make sure that our ads speak specifically to that person. So if I was to do research, I've not done it for this, but let's just say I did a bit of research. I'm sure I could find a study about how not having adequate hydration in the muscles leads to slower muscle recovery, which leads to slower muscle growth. And do you really want dehydration to be the reason that the 7 hours in the gym that you do on a weekly basis means that you're hitting a plateau and not able to grow? Maybe I could go deeper than that, right? So I've been lifting in the gym for a while. I know that in the first 2 years, you get all of this growth and then it declines, and you're doing everything to get that extra 1%. Maybe I go deep into that. I know that because I am somebody that has had that pain point. And if you're not your target audience, you do the research, Reddit, Google reviews, look at your competitors, just look at everything that you can find. ChatGPT, I've always got a ChatGPT tab open just because of how valuable it is to be able to do that research. So that's for bodybuilders. But if we used to give that message and put that in front of somebody who mainly is concerned with their mental performance, we're just wasting our advertising spend. And so what we're going to do in this situation is think about entrepreneurs, for example. What are they interested in? It's probably going to be mental performance. It's going to be energy. It's going to be memory. I know from a previous client that we've worked with that was selling a hydration product that if you're dehydrated, this can lead to a 25% cognitive decline or decline in cognitive performance. If you told me that, I would take water straight away. If you could give me a pill and that pill meant that I was going to get 25% extra performance, or it was going to make sure I didn't have a decline of 25%, I would pay a lot of money for that. If that's just a bottle of water, or if it's a hydration tablet or a sachet or whatever, great, sold. If it's going to give me what I care the most about, which is performing in my day-to-day, I'm going to do it. And it's all because that's very, very specific. And your ad should hit somebody right in between the eyeballs. And this is no exaggeration. You want your ad to be so specific, so granular, so accurate that it feels like the ad was made for you. So if we go back to the top where I said marketing is sales, but instead of one-to-one, it's one-to-many. You actually, even though it is one-to-many, you want to make your ads feel like it's one-to-one. Like you're speaking directly to that one person who's tried weight loss fads and diets and been in the gym and tried to stick to their New Year's resolution, but they haven't really found anything that's worked for them. Then they feel guilty. Then they open the fridge and they snack at midnight, and then they hate themselves for doing it. Then they wake up with bad sleep because of all this. I'm going really deep now into this topic of somebody who actually would be interested in a weight loss product that worked for them. But if we just said, take this and lose weight, nobody's going to believe it. Nobody's going to buy it. So get specific. Make sure the ad hits you right in between the eyeballs, and stop guessing what ads to make, but instead focus on the who. Then do the research to understand their exact psychology. What tonality are they using? What language? What are the behavior patterns? What have they tried in the past? What has worked? What hasn't worked? What do they believe? And make ads that point exactly to this customer psychology. The more someone feels that you understand their situation, the more they're going to trust that you have the solution. You want this feeling, right? You want to feel like your ads are that accurate that it feels like somebody's listening to your conversations. And we've all had that situation where you're talking to a friend. Let's say it happened recently with me. I signed up to a marathon. I've started saying I really want a running vest. I get on social media. The first thing I see is a running vest for people that have just signed up for a marathon. What the hell's going on? Who is watching me? Who's listening to my conversations? Actually, the ad was just really accurate, very powerful. And I'll leave you on that.